Just tell me when.
I did. Sorry, I'm trying to stay unmuted. It's in the chat.
Oh, gotcha.
Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their visions, we too dream. Let us join together, remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery. Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Hank Peirce, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. It is a wonderful day, and it is a wonderful day that you are with us today. Today is, of course, our annual meeting. Hooray! This is how we do the work that we do. A very exciting day. Now, before we have the chalice lighting, I got to tell you three things. Number one is that if you would like to follow along, there's a link to the order of service in the chat, and there the lyrics for the hymns are and the words we say when we light our chalice. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to tell you is that there's no coffee hour today because we have our annual meeting. Our annual meeting starts at 11:30 and is on a different Zoom link than the one that you're on right now. And that link, the link to that link is, oh, there it is in the chat right now. It will show up a few more times in the service, so don't worry if you can't get it right now. But it is a different link than this one that you're on right now. If you are visiting us for the first time today, or you've been visiting us for a little while, come to the annual meeting. It is a great way for you to understand how we run this place, how it is we think, how it is we govern ourselves. So come check this out. So that's great. The third thing I want to say, and Al has a special slide he's going to put up, is a shout out because our own Katie McQuaid Lucas is officially graduating from Boston University today. So let's all give Katie a big hand wherever you are. Hooray for Katie! We have actually a number. Yes, exactly. Hooray! we actually have a number of folks here who are friends of this congregation who are graduating from various places, but actually two other people who are graduating from BU today. But it's Katie we care about right now. So hooray, hurrah, huzzah for Katie. This is great. And with honors too, magna cum laude. Very, very impressive. And with that, let us now turn to lighting our chalice. Sally.
Would you join me now with the chalice lighting words in your order of service or found in the chat? In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. And as our children do in their classrooms, we'll share our children's affirmation, reminding us what it means to be Unitarian Universalists. We are Unitarian Universalists, a church of open mind, loving heart, and helping hands.
Good morning. Welcome to this week's virtual Sunday service. My name is Charlene Reynolds Santo, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. Today, we gather with the hope of being a welcoming environment to nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, and help heal our broken world. If this is your first time with us, I would like to extend a special welcome to you. And please look at our webpage for more information about UUCR. Here you can find details about our church community, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and find the contact information for Melissa Martin, our new member services coordinator, who can answer any of your questions. If you are watching this service during its initial broadcast at 10 a.m. on May 16th, as Reverend Hank mentioned, we are asking all members to join us after the service at 11:30 for our annual meeting of members. You can find the link in the email you received earlier this week, and it'll also show up in the chat a few more times during this service. We hope that you will be able to attend this very important meeting. Thank you for logging on with us this morning and choosing to be with us today. Please know that we believe you belong here, maybe just for the next hour, although we hope for longer. You belong here, and we are glad that you are joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Cunningham, the music director here at the UU Church of Reading. And I want to mention a few things about the music that we have lined up for you today. We have a special singing video, I want to say choir video, but we had some friends joining us for this one. So we'll be singing the Garden Song, which is also Inch by Inch. For a lot of you, you know it by that title. And I want to thank AJ Heidkamp for playing guitar with us, and for all the people who sang, and also to Will White, who edited our videos. So that will be fun for the offertory. And for the musical interlude, I finally sat down and got my flute out and played one of my very favorite pieces, the Sicilienne by Gabriel Fauré. So I hope you enjoy that. But for our opening hymn for this Sunday, where we're speaking about Sawyer House, and for annual meeting Sundays, we always are talking about building. We found, Hank found an old hymn that was written by Reverend Marion Franklin Ham, who served this church from 1909 to let me get the years right, 1934, 25 years. Reverend Ham was a poet and a writer, and also, of course, a Unitarian minister. And he was serving this church at a very auspicious time. This was the time when he moved the congregation from the square to the present location, right next to or in place of the Sawyer House. I'm sure you'll hear more about that later. He had called on the congregation to rise up and build. And so in 1924, the building was built. There's some very old lyrics to this hymn, but I hope that you sing along with me. And it also ends with an amen. So don't forget to sing a hearty amen. The builders toiling through the days. The builders toiling through the days have wrought with us the task divine, and now to thee with songs of praise we dedicate the finished shrine. Holy presence brooding here, let now thy glory fill this place, abiding light that year by year shall fill our souls with heavenly grace. Here may the truth be freely taught, and here the Master's Spirit reign. Here may his works of love be wrought, to heal earth's sorrow, sin, and pain. Amen. Thank you.
I'm Sally Lieberman, and my pronouns are she and her. Hey, Kelly, thanks for being here.
Hey, Sally. Glad to be here. I also use she, her pronouns.
Kelly, that is a nice mask.
Well, thank you. I have lots, but this is my most colorful one.
It's nice to be able to take these masks off more often now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it really is when it's safe to do so.
You and I are both home, so it's safe to be unmasked when we're home with our families and the folks we live with. Kelly, you're a scientist, aren't you?
I am, although I don't work in a lab anymore. I went to school in Boston to be a doctor, not the doctor's office kind of doctor or the hospital kind, but the kind that does science research. And my degree is in something called immunology. And what that means is I learned all about how our bodies protect us from infections by germs like bacteria or viruses. And I worked in laboratories that studied viruses.
You actually studied viruses. So you probably know a lot about COVID-19, the coronavirus. I'm wondering if you could explain for us how a vaccine works. I know it's a shot, and I've had one. I need to get another one.
Sure. So when a germ, like a virus, gets inside your body, there are special cells that make up your immune system that see it and go, eek, that can make us sick. And some of these special cells make something called antibodies that attach to the germ, and that tells other immune system cells to get rid of it. And then the next time they see that virus, your body remembers it and gets rid of it even faster so you probably won't even get sick. Now, we don't want to go around putting germs like COVID-19 in people's bodies to teach the immune system how to fight them, because that's really dangerous. So what a vaccine does is it gives your body something that looks like a little piece of the germ, something that can't hurt you, but can teach the special cells what to look for. So if you do get infected later with a real virus, your body will fight it off and you won't get sick. Now, some vaccines take 2 or more shots to work best, and some take only 1. And you've probably gotten vaccines for lots of things already.
Kelly, with your training, you really understand how a vaccine is made and how it helps a human body not get sick. I'm wondering if, with all that you know, if you think the vaccine is helpful for people, because it sounds like it. My sister is a nurse, and she signed up as soon as she could to get the vaccine. And she told me she hoped I would get it too. She is a nurse, and so she helps our whole family stay healthy. And I feel lucky because I have her and I can ask her questions, and she knows about these things, and I trust her. So I did get the vaccine when she asked me to. And I trust you too, because you're a scientist and you've explained how you understand the vaccine works and that it's a good thing for people's health. If I didn't have you or my sister to ask, I might not understand or have people that I trust telling me that it's a good thing. That reminds me that I don't know everything. And it's really awesome that other people do know things that I don't know and understand. And I feel lucky. It's awesome that you're able to tell us what you know. Kelly, do you think that everyone should get the vaccine?
Well, I do think that vaccines are a good thing. And if people can get vaccinated safely, I actually think they should. Now, I say safely because some people aren't able to. They might be allergic to the ingredients in a vaccine, or they might have a health reason why they can't. Like maybe their immune system doesn't make a good response, or another reason. And there are other reasons we're never going to know why they can't get the vaccine. And that's what all of us who can, I think, really should, because that helps make things safer for everybody.
You know, Kelly, I was recently out for a walk with some friends I hadn't seen for a while. And we were safe. We were socially distant. And one of my friends was talking about getting her vaccine. And she asked me if my shot hurt in my arm. And it did a little bit, but it was really more itchy than anything. And then she asked our other friend if his arm hurt when he got his shot. And he just looked at her and he walked a little bit ahead of us and he looked a little bit weird. And I thought he was maybe mad or confused. And I wanted to ask him what was wrong. And I wanted to actually ask him right away if he had gotten the vaccine, because I realized maybe he hadn't. And then I realized that it was none of my business. And I felt really uncomfortable with myself and with my friends.
Yeah, it's really hard because, I mean, we want to know. And you and I are totally comfortable talking about you getting your vaccine, but not everybody feels that way. And it really is personal. And it's okay not to want to share your personal information. You know, we can't know why and how people make choices. Now, in our church, we believe everybody is worthy. Everybody is important. We know that we don't all think alike, but we also know that we all do our best to keep one another safe.
And we know that we don't all have the same experiences and that we don't all have the same interests and we don't study the same things or have the same life experience. It's great that we can learn from one another.
It really is. I think it's awesome that we're a group of folks who all have different experiences. It's a lot more interesting that way.
Mhm.
Now, I feel confident with what I know about vaccines. So if anybody was curious about them, I'd be glad to talk with them, see if I could answer any questions or help find out where to get more information, because even I don't know everything about them. I love that we can all be learners and teachers with each other.
Kelly, thank you so much for sharing things that you understand in ways that I can understand now too. And I think you might have explained the vaccine for some other folks too. So thank you, Dr. Tome, for being with us today.
You are welcome, and thanks for chatting with me. I always like when I can explain something I know to another, and then when someone can do that for me about things I'm unsure about. This has been great.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Katie McQuaige-Lucas, your ministerial intern, and my pronouns are she and hers. And I just want to say thank you so much for celebrating me a little bit today. Will you all please join me in prayer? Infinite mystery, you are ever present, moving through us, binding us together in love. We call on you in our moments of celebration and thanksgiving, and we call on you in moments of sorrow and anxiety. You are the spirit that binds us and makes us into communities. You bring justice and peace to strife. You bring healing to the wounded and balm for pain. So we give thanks for this beautiful day, for the opportunity to be together, to do the work of our community with loving hearts. And we hold in our hearts communities that are unbinding, dissolving into violence and conflict. We hold in our hearts those who suffer violence in Israel, in Colombia, and yes, here, near to our own homes. We ask that you be a spirit of both justice and mercy, for without justice, there can be no community, no connection, no peace. We ask that you keep our hearts open to the suffering we witness, and we ask for the grace to bear our own sufferings. Help us and help all people to know love, and make us instruments of your justice and your love, so that we can be bringers of your hope and joy into the world. Amen, and may it be so.
For the last year and a half, UUCR has been donating half of the funds collected each week to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. We do this not because we have more than we need, but because there is so much need. This church here, our new UUCR Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry, AIM, this team has begun to work to become an AIM certified congregation. And for the month of May, our Share the Plate recipient is Understanding Disabilities. Supporting understanding disabilities is one way we can confirm our congregation's commitment to welcome, embrace, and integrate and support people with disabilities and their families. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to our virtual Sunday Share the Plate offering to support the work of understanding disabilities and the mission of UUCR. Thank you.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Rain for rain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. To my body and my brain, to the music from the land. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and low, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her loving care. Old row watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as a feathered peacock there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Today's reading, The Changing Reputation of Human Nature by James Luther Adams. Theology is, in the language of Bonaventura, an effective science, the science of the love of God, and the function of the church is to bring people into communion with a group wherein the divine power of transformation and ethical standards rooted in it are operative. We say operative to mean that this power is capable of changing people, of eliciting commitment in a way of life that makes a difference in their attitude towards themselves, others, and God. In short, it aids them in the achieving of voluntary community. Only by such commitment can we, in Channing's words, be always young for liberty. And without such a commitment, we become content with philosophic objectivity and distant that isolate us from the source of true vitality, from openness to the power of the spirit of commitment, breaks into human situation, destroying, transforming old forms and creating new ones, manifesting the expulsive and creative power of a new affection. the Amor Dei, the vision of God.
Besides the bill of sale, the first mention that I could find in our church archives, the first mention I could find of the home, now known as Sawyer House, occurred in a letter dated June 30th, 1922. It was from the president of the congregation, inquiring if the building was insured. He worried that it might be a tempting mark for irresponsible parties around the 4th of July. He later goes on to state that the building will have to be moved so that the church can build in its space, and that the building will be converted to a parsonage and used to house the minister and his family. On this day of our annual meeting, I think it is quite fitting that we recognize that the first mention of Sawyer House comes not in an excited article from a newsletter or in even a letter to the congregation, but in a letter where the board president is worried about some rowdies going around torching places on the 4th of July. This morning's sermon is about that humble and maybe even awkward wooden building that has been used by this congregation for close to 100 years. Now, the topic of this sermon came from Martha Moore, who purchased the right to choose its topic at the church auction. She asked, how about a sermon on the history of Sawyer House and the Sawyer Nursery School, and possibly a look to the future of that building? What a great topic. It allowed me to go up and geek out and hang out in our church archives, which is really just so much fun to do. Oh, the news clippings I read this past few weeks. So it's a great topic, and I want to thank Martha for choosing it. And I also want to thank Judy Riley and Suzanne Sullivan, who provided me with so much information about the history of the Sawyer House Nursery. But let me not get ahead of myself. I'll get to the nursery later on. But let me first remind you of how we came to own that building. And I'm pointing this way because that's where the building is, where I am right now. It's through that wall, and there it is there. So you'll see me motioning, and that's the reason. Anyway, in the late 19-teens, Reading Square was a bustling center of commerce and trolley cars, which made a lot of noise. So it was decided to sell the old church building, which sat there on Main Street, near to where the Fusion Cafe sits today. And the congregation purchased the lot here on the corner of Woburn and Summer Streets to build their new religious home. And along with that land came the building that we now call Sawyer House. There are many letters with estimates from different people to the board of the congregation that kept that eventually became a parsonage. And in all of those estimates, or the result of reading all these different estimates, the board kept saying, that's expensive. No, I want you to know that the board of this church was filled with cheap Yankees who time and again went with the lowest bid, or hourly workers, or even just volunteers to do the work on that building. It is no wonder that in the archives I would find notes that the parsonage once again needed a new coat of paint, or it needed to be insulated, or that it needed a new heating system, because as one report put it, it is impossible to heat that place to any degree of comfort. A large tonnage of coal is burned without results. If there is sickness and the chambers are to be adequately heated, the heat to the lower floors must be shut off. Oh, as I read those reports, I imagined poor Reverend Curtis and his family trying to stay warm in these small rooms next door. Another report from 1935 said that they finally had to get a new furnace, as the old one, which had been held together with wire and stove cement, finally gave up the ghost. Now, this might be the point where you are wondering if this whole sermon is going to sound like some sort of Charles Dickens novel. And it's not. No, because something really big is going to happen at our church, at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading. In 1960, Loring House was purchased as a parsonage, and Sawyer House was empty. And let me be clear, I'm not exactly sure when it officially started to be called the Sawyer House, nor am I really clear as to why it has that name. I believe that the original owners of the house were the Sawyers, but there was also a different Sawyer family who left their estate to the church in the late 1950s. And I found that it was right around the late 50s, early 60s, that the building was started to be called either the Sawyer Parish House or the Sawyer Memorial Building. But to be honest, it is not the name or the purchasing of Loring House that made a really big difference in the life of this church. It was the congregation thinking creatively about how best to use this new space. In 1960, with the baby boom in full swing, the demand for dedicated space for the education of young people was needed, both on Sunday mornings and throughout the week. So a group of church members realized that having a kindergarten could be a boon to the children and the families of this community. And it was. For 60 years, the Sawyer House Nursery educated generations of children. It was amazing to read the list of church members who were sent here as children and who in turn sent their children here. The Sawyer House Nursery not only shaped the children who came here, it shaped this community as well. The members who taught there, the children who attended, the church parents who sat on its board, who became the president, the treasurers, and who at times had to wrestle with the leadership of this church, reminding them of the importance of the school and how it was an example of our mission into the world. Now, the nursery school had to close last year. The combination of COVID and the changing needs of young families here in this area spelled the end to this chapter of the Sawyer House. And I just want to give a shout out to Deb Harvey, who was the director of the Sawyer House in its final years, who was just delightful and an amazing manager, as well as a loving teacher. Oh my gosh, the kids just loved Deb. It's amazing to think about the changes that little wooden building has gone through, from private home to parsonage, to a Sunday school, to a nursery school. I suppose in some ways it's a bit like each of us. We come to this place, and over the years, we too are transformed. At times, we do the things we are asked to do. Like sit on a committee that you aren't really crazy about, but you do it because they need you there. At other times, you are here and you are stretched and challenged, and you wonder if this is really the right place. For you and me, that might come in learning a lot about issues about sexuality or gender or racism. For the Sawyer House building, it might be like us trying to make it accessible, which it isn't. But then there are other times when you are here and your skills and your strengths are used to further the mission of this church community, and you are thrilled to do it. Now, James Luther Adams, in that reading that Charlene read this morning, James Luther Adams, one of the quotes in there was that the function of church is to bring people into communion with a group wherein the divine power of transformation and ethical standards are rooted in it and are operative. By operative, we mean that this power is capable of changing people, eliciting commitments to a way of life that makes a difference in their attitude towards themselves, others, and God. In short, it aids them in achieving voluntary community. Adams saw the importance of a voluntary community. For him, it was the heart of everything he wrote about. The voluntary community is a place where people can come together as equals, where the work of the world occurs. It is where the Spirit infuses the people and the organization, and they become better, and their values become clearer, and they and the organization are transformed into something new. The Sawyer House has been a place where this congregation has expressed what it values most. It hasn't been the only place, but it is an easy example because, well, it's right there. We can all see it. It's a space where we get to put our dreams into actions. So what is next for Sawyer House? I don't know. Those decisions will come in the coming months and years with the board and the leadership of this church trying to figure out what we should do with that building. Perhaps another school could move in. Or maybe we can move our offices around and go in there. Or perhaps we could find a renter and the income would allow us to use our financial gifts on our mission. Or perhaps we might use it as maybe a drop-in center for teens in need or a home for a refugee family. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. What I do know is that it will change and transform. It will change and transform as we change and transform. Not because of the weather or because of our finances, but it will be changed and transformed because of what and how we believe. I know that some might find that daunting, but I see it as exciting, and I hope you do too. The Sawyer House has served us all this time, and we have served it with our vision of the future, our vision of who we want to be, of who we are, who our neighbors are, and what we are called to be in this world. That is truly, truly exciting. What a blessing this opportunity is. Amen.
I am Melissa Martin, your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you to the dozen or so congregants who have already participated in our Accessibility and Inclusion Survey. This is our final week collecting responses, and we would really love to hear from you. That way, our AIM team can use your feedback to create an action plan for our congregation to work towards intentional awareness, mutual support, and collaborative learning. Please see the newsletter for the survey link, and thank you. If you've walked or driven by our church campus this week, you may have noticed that things are really beginning to bloom. And I don't just mean the grass and trees. Our stone reflection station has been visited numerous times, with congregants using a bench in front to sit and reflect. Sally has also lovingly refreshed our lending library, found on the front porch of Loring House, where you can find new materials for friends of all ages. And just yesterday, a small group of socially distanced congregants dedicated their time to beautifying our campus, specifically our Memorial Meditation Garden in the back of the church campus. All of these locations are available to you right now and are waiting for your return. Reservations are not required for any of these offerings, and we hope you'll stop by the campus to visit them. This week, you'll also hear about additional opportunities on campus for you. These will include plans for a new reflection station and other projects, and will also include opportunities to make a reservation for in-person activities. I'm happy to say that I am now ready to offer in-person driveway office hours at church, and I would love to see you there. Other staff members will also be announcing their own driveway office hours too. And Reverend Hank has said that his opportunities may include an option of taking a walk with the minister and maybe even his dog as well. Keep your eye on the newsletter or email me with your questions. I'm really looking forward to what we will do in this next chapter together. For today, there's no social hour after the service, as all UUCR members are encouraged to attend our annual May member meeting at 11:30. You'll find the warrant with the Zoom link in your email, but please reach out to me if you need help. Join us next Sunday for Social Hour, where we welcome you to choose from different Zoom breakout rooms, including one dedicated to reopening church. We hope to see you there. Thank you for being a vital part of our congregational life.
Good morning again. That went so quick, I wasn't ready to pull up the next hymn we're going to sing for our closing hymn. One that you have heard before. We've sung it a lot in person. It's Building a New Way. And it has a really great rocking rhythm. And it's got great lyrics as well, which are in the chats. Thank you, Don. And I added a word to the second verse. If you also have been bothered by the second verse that says, we are working to be free, hate and greed and jealousy, I've put in a from. Okay, so I'm going to sing it. You sing it along. You won't even notice that it's different from what's published in the hymnal. But we want to be free from hate and greed and jealousy. And so I changed the words a little bit. All right, so let me get the accompaniment queued up here, and please sing along with Building a New Way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Here it comes. We are working to be free from hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Thanks for singing. It was fun to see your singing in those boxes.
It was indeed fun to sing. So once again, before I extinguish our chalice, just a reminder, a different link at 11:30 for our annual meeting. But now let us extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. And our benediction. If we can recognize that change and uncertainty are basic principles, we can greet the future and the transformation we are undergoing with the understanding that we do not know enough to be pessimistic. Our worship is over. Our service begins. See you at 11:30. Peace.